Hey everybody, today I want to talk about a subject I covered also on social media, but in one video to make it easy for you. So I've heard several people mention how our bodies know how to die. And so that's why you see the quotes on the title. But because it's not my own words, even though I always knew that or, kind of understood that, and there's certain things that happen when we die to our bodies, but I want to explain what's happening on a physiological level so that you understand. And hopefully this gives you some amount of relief and also comfort when this is happening to you and your loved one. All right, my name is Abigail. Let's get into it. We're here to normalize these conversations and education about death and dying so we die better at end of life. Let's get into it today. So like I said, I've seen several people on social media use this term, our bodies know how to die. But I want to explain to you on a biological, physiological level as to what happens. And basically what I'll focus on are these chemicals that are released in the bloodstream when the body's dying. And it's because you're having the failure of the organs to function like they were before. So there's just a lot of understanding of the body that these organs, these systems within the body are starting to fail. So as a result, as a response, your body releases all sorts of stuff into the body, but it's really, really good stuff in terms of what it does. So for example, you release certain things like endorphins, adrenaline, and then you release certain things, and what these do, let me be clear, what these do is and certain other chemicals that I'll get to that are talked about or that were found such as in animal studies. So what these chemicals do essentially is they provide a sense of euphoria. If you've ever done like a really good workout or went for a run and you came back and you're just feeling really good, you feel kind of relaxed, but you also feel really energized. You have that kind of little high, that runner's high. Those are the chemicals that are also released. We use endorphins. Now other studies are saying some other stuff in terms of what these chemicals are. But from what we understand now and from what I've been, reading about, studying and learning from professional experience, using that term just for ease right now. So when you have that kind of runner's high, you feel not only a little bit kind of a euphoric, but it also kind of curbs your stress. You feel a kind of euphoria, but you also feel a little relaxed. And also your drive for hunger, for your drive for food and for liquids and things, like that you usually consume. I'm sorry about the noise. They decided to do some more. I swear Stuttgart is the noisiest city that I've ever lived in. Anyway, your drive for hunger, your drive for thirst really is quelled. It's just eliminated pretty much. And this is why, when you're at the final stages of dying, not wanting to eat, just like when you're really, really sick, you have no desire to eat. You don't want to put anything in your stomach. That feeling is there because these hormones, because these chemicals and such are released in your body. So that's a really cool thing. In addition, you have shifts in electrolytes and minerals and things like that. One that I really want to focus on because it's really cool is calcium. Now, you might, maybe with certain cancers, if your loved one or yourself, are dealing with a particular type of cancer, they may do things like monitor your electrolytes and your minerals really closely. It's because there are certain cancers and certain conditions that will alter the levels of these electrolytes or minerals in the body. And so with certain types of cancer, sometimes you have like a high calcium. And so you might see people seeming pretty drowsy when that happens. But when you're at the end stage of life, or when your loved one is at the very end stage of life, calcium is increased quite a bit. And so that's a good thing because what that does is it just makes you really sleepy. Makes you really, really sleepy, makes you really lethargic. So this is really good. This paired with the endorphins and the receptors in your body that are getting those endorphins, they're called the opioid receptors. So they kind of help with easing of the pain. They're, giving you the sense of euphoria while also relaxing you, making you a little sleepy with the calcium, while also with the other stuff, you're not having that drive to want to eat or drink. So you have a really nice combo of stuff that's happening to kind of make you feel cool, calm, relaxed, little sleepy, not hungry, not thirsty, and and also a sense of euphoria. Some animal studies have also shown that there's a release of DMT. You might have heard of DMT with the ayahuasca and mushrooms crowd. And that's another type of molecule and chemical that's released in the blood that's been shown in animal studies. Now, you can't really get a lot of this in human studies because there are different ethics and rules around human studies. So much more stringent than they are in animal studies. So what all these processes that are doing as a result of just the expected natural organ failure, system failure, body failure, this stuff, all these molecules, these types of things, substances are released, in the bloodstream, which the bloodstream releases them all to the body because the bloodstream goes all the way around and does all that and feeds all the rest of your system with all these molecules and chemicals and such. What it does is essentially softens the landing. And what's great is that your body will naturally do this. So, at those very last moments, and, there are different times that all these things are released, and I can get into those, but what I really want to do is just give you a bit of information to understand what's happening on a physiological level so that you know that in these last moments, these are things that are happening that are going to help with this transition from life to death. Now, I want to be very clear, knowing these things, when I say things like decreases drive for food and drink, this is why you don't want to force feed people who are dying. You want to allow for the natural progression to occur. I talk about this in A Natural Death and also in social media. And I can also expand on this more if you'd like to in another video. This is when I talk about these natural types of endorphins that are released. They help sometimes with pain. It's not a replacement for pain management. Professional pain management provided to you by your palliative and or hospice care team, hopefully hospice team, especially at this time of life. So, but hospice care is also palliative care. We'll cover that another day. So I want to be really clear on that. And then if you have any questions or need me to expand on anything else that I said here, just let me know. I'd like to keep these fairly short, a little bit longer than my summertime snack series. But I like to keep them fairly short because the subject is just a lot as it is. And, there's just always a lot to cover. But let's start here. Let me know if you have any specific types of questions. I did have someone ask more about kind of the spiritual, existential type of stuff, and I might cover that in another video. Yeah, I think so. Okay, anyway, my name is Abigail. We're here to normalize these conversations and education about death and dying so we die better at end of life and hopefully, live a great one till we get there. I love you. Let me know if you have questions. Write me anytime. Write me through the YouTube comments, the social media, email me through my website, whatever it is, any of that kind of stuff. Love hearing from you. Love answering your questions, specifically if there's something you want me to cover. And we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye.